It's Friday, y'all, July the 24th, 2026, and it's time for The Swamp, where I cover daily updates inside our federal machine. And as we dive in, please give a quick like and subscribe, leave a comment, and even click on the notification bell, and I'll keep you up to date on everything happening in The Swamp Monday through Friday. Every article is linked below in the description, and the main segments from tonight's episode will be dropping right here on the channel tomorrow morning. We're going to start with SCOTUS Wire. Big breaking news. A federal judge has struck down Illinois laws allowing unlawfully present illegal aliens to receive in-state college tuition, state financial aid, and DREAM Act scholarship benefits, ruling those laws are preempted by federal immigration law. And another one from SCOTUS Wire, just expanding on the information, the big bombshell from today. Judge Dugan ruled that Illinois tuition and financial aid laws give unlawfully present aliens higher education benefits based on Illinois residency without making those same benefits available to all U.S. citizens, regardless of residency, which is a direct violation of federal statute. And we've got the ruling here, so I'm just going to read the background and the conclusion. So the background reads, the United States challenges 3 Illinois laws, arguing they violate 8 U.S.C. Section 1623A by granting post-secondary education benefits to aliens not lawfully present inside the United States on the basis of their residence in Illinois, without extending the same benefits to U.S. citizens regardless of residency. Specifically, the United States seeks declaratory and injunctive relief as to the following statutes, each of which is discussed in term below. The in-state tuition provisions for public universities and community colleges originating in the 2003 Acevedo Act. And as amended by Public Act, and then they've got the numbers, effective July 1st, 2026, the Illinois DREAM Act, and the Retention of Illinois Students and Equity Act, as amended in 2025. And then we're going to jump to the conclusion. For the foregoing reasons, defendant's motion to dismiss is denied, and the United States cross motion for summary judgment is granted, in part as follows. Challenges to the original subsections of the in-state tuition provisions enacted in Public Act 93-0007, commonly known as the Acevedo Act, and applicable to Illinois public universities, are dismissed as moot. The court declares that the in-state tuition provisions as amended by Public Act 103-0876, which are applicable to Illinois public universities as applied to aliens who are not lawfully present in the United States, violates the Supremacy Clause and are unconstitutional and invalid. The court declares that the provision of Public Act with the numbers of the Public Community College Act as applied to aliens who are not lawfully present in the United States violates the Supremacy Clause and is unconstitutional and invalid. The court also declares that the Retention of Illinois Students and Equity, or RISE Act, and its 2025 amendments, effective as of 2020, as amended by Public Act, effective January 1st, 2026, codified yada yada, as applied to aliens who are not lawfully present in the United States, also violates the Supremacy Clause and is unconstitutional and invalid. The court declares that the Illinois DREAM Act, as applied to aliens who are not lawfully present in the United States, violates the Supremacy Clause and is unconstitutional. With respect to any alien not lawfully present in the United States, defendants, their officers, agents, servants, employees, attorneys, and all persons in active concert or participation with them are permanently enjoined from enforcing the following. The in-state tuition provisions as amended, which are applicable to Illinois public universities. Number 2, the provision of Public Act, the Acevedo Act of the Public Community College Act, the Retention of Illinois Students and Equity Act, and its 2025 amendments, codified, and also the Illinois DREAM Act. The declaration and permanent injunctions set forth herein apply only to the provisions specified above in the form in which they are presently in force as of the entry of this order, and specifically do not apply to House Bill 5093, they go into more numbers, which, although signed into law, does not take effect until 2027. So it sounds like there might be some new law that might be taking effect that may have something to do with maybe one of those 4 items. The injunctive relief granted herein is stayed for a period of 14 days from the date of this order to permit defendants to seek a stay pending appeal. This order is the final judgment of the court and will be entered as a separate document pursuant to Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 58A. It is so ordered. There you go. So they can't be reaping the benefits of college tuition and all the other nonsense that they had been getting that everyday Americans apparently weren't entitled to, at least not under those programs. But the illegal aliens, they're allowed to get it. I'm sure a lot of that was taxpayer funded. Who knows how many millions, maybe even into the billions of dollars. So this applies. As my understanding goes, it doesn't apply across the entire country. The Supreme Court's already ruled that repeatedly recently, and it would only apply to the district where this judge is located in Illinois, the Southern District of Illinois. So that's where it applies. And I guess we'll see what ends up happening with that. I'm sure they're going to appeal it. At least that's what it assumed that they were going to do. But in the meantime, got this from about 6 hours ago from Eric W. Unreal. A second judge in the District of Massachusetts has entered an order stopping President Trump from ending temporary protected status for Ethiopians. This comes less than 1 month after the Supreme Court said it could not do that. Exactly. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, just the second part here. After review and in light of the novel arguments raised in plaintiff's amended complaint, the court grants plaintiff's motion for an administrative stay as follows: to preserve the status quo, the effective date of termination of the designation of temporary protected status for Ethiopia will be stayed, subject to further order of this court or higher courts pending resolution of plaintiff's renewed motion for postponement. During the period of the stay of the termination shall be null, void, and of no legal effect. This order is effective immediately upon this court's receipt of the First Circuit's mandate in African Communities Together versus Mullen, number 26-1376. All right. I guess maybe that's just going to have to go up to the Supreme Court. Also, here's a thread on a different district judge in Massachusetts also entering an order pausing TPS for South Sudan this time. The First Circuit, if asked, should likely consider mandamus and a reassignment. U.S. Supreme Court, June 25th of this year, district courts lack jurisdiction to review President Trump's decision to end temporary protected status. Please stop. D of Mass, July 23rd, 2026. I'm ordering the end of temporary protected status for South Sudan, indefinitely delayed. So Ethiopia and South Sudan, and they've got the full docket for that. I guess I'll repost that. This judge has the unique honor of, I believe, being the district judge most reversed directly on the emergency docket in American history, at least on a per annum basis. That's wild. More context from journalist Sean Fleetwood here. Legal scholar weighs in. Okay, so it's just like a thread of just other people chiming in on these orders with regard to putting a stop to the temporary protected status because they just want them here forever. At a minimum, they want them here till 2030 so they can count them towards the census, because I'm sure that the vast majority of them just so happen, just by sheer coincidence, probably just living in blue areas, blue districts, allowing Democrats to get more congressional seats. You know how that goes. All right, so let's move on to Fox News Politics, a zombie court. The Trump administration just filed the first ever case with the Alien Terrorist Removal Court. I didn't even know there was an Alien Terrorist Removal Court, but apparently there is. A secretive body created by Congress way back in 1996 that has never heard a single case in nearly 30 years. So they established it, but they've never used it before. The Justice Department is seeking to deport an unnamed illegal immigrant suspected of terrorism using classified evidence through the long dormant court, which allows the government to present sealed intelligence that never gets disclosed to the respondent. The move comes after Chief Judge James Bosberg himself pointed to the ATRC as an alternative during the administration's Alien Enemies Act fight earlier this year. The court's chief judge has already asked the DOJ for additional documentation, giving officials until Wednesday to strengthen their case. If successful, the administration could unlock a powerful new deportation tool that bypasses the federal judges who have repeatedly blocked his immigration agenda. How about that? A court that's been sitting dormant for 30 years. Are there judges just sitting there, just twiddling their thumbs, doing nothing, like literally collecting dust over the last 30 years? I would assume not. I would assume that it's just there, and maybe they'll convene a group of judges and select them at random, because I believe that's what they're supposed to do. It's not supposed to be just like one single judge that gets appointed. There's supposed to be some random selection kind of thing. So I guess we'll have to see what ends up happening out of that. But yeah, I mean, if they, unlock, quote unquote, unlock that court, alien terrorist removal court, they might be able to use it repeatedly, because there's a lot of illegal immigrants that are known terrorists, or they belong to foreign terrorist organizations like Tren de Aragua and a whole bunch of other ones. MS-13, I'm sure, is on that list. But anyway, let's move on to the persistent, who is Scott Presler. He says, I was telling the truth. The Chester County, Pennsylvania non-juror list contains 65 pages, not people, 65 pages of people, of non-citizens that have been summoned to jury duty. If this is happening in Chester County, it's happening everywhere. Pass the Save America Act. And he's just flipping through the pages. There's probably not going to be any sound associated with this, but these are all non-citizens who've been selected for jury duty. So I don't think that you have to be registered to vote in order to be included in the jury, or the process of jury selection and jury duty. I think it just applies to anybody who's a citizen, right? Or anybody who's a local of whatever district that they're pulling the jury pool from. And with all these non-citizens, page 63, page 64, page 65, certainly looks like thousands to me, or at least probably well over 1,000. I mean, like, well, yeah, what is that? If there's 100 per page, which is probably not quite 100 per page, but still, that would be, well, like 6,000 freaking names. So yeah, that's bad. And like you said, if it's happening in Chester County, it's probably happening literally all over the place. And that's why the Save America Act is so important, and that's why the Democrats don't want it to pass. And they're willing to do anything they possibly can to keep it from happening, because evidently they want to cheat. I don't even know what else to call it, because that just seems to be the only thing that they'd be interested in doing, would be full-on cheating. Because I mean, why else not want to insist that all Americans have ID and are proven Americans, and not just some non-citizen from God knows where? And he also follows this up with, we've obtained the non-juror list for the following Pennsylvania counties. So he didn't only get the juror list from one county, he got it from a whole bunch of counties: Pike County, Mifflin, Center, Carbon, Indiana, Chester, Dauphin, Jefferson, Columbia, Susquehanna County, can't pronounce that, Westmoreland County. And obviously most of those are red. There's a couple of blue ones. Each of these contain non-citizens. We will not stop until we get all 67 counties. Again, that's in Pennsylvania. So we'll have to see what happens with that. I have faith that he will end up getting those lists one way or another. And he has one more. Remember how Chester County appeared to have filtered out non-citizens from the non-juror list? Well, we've acquired the full non-juror list. Chester County, Pennsylvania has at least 3,566 non-citizens. This is citizen journalism in action, breaking news. Probably should have led with that post and not wrapped up with that post. But mainly because he gives the number, 3,566 in just a single county. Absolutely wild. And from Based Mike Lee, who happens to be Senator Mike Lee from Utah, there are 278,000 non-citizens registered to vote in just 4 states: California, New Jersey, Nevada, and Pennsylvania. Insane. Even more insane is the thought of not passing the Save America Act in time for the 2026 midterm elections. There's still time, but not for long. Look, I'm not going to hold out any hope for it. I'm definitely not going to be hedging any bets in Polymarket in favor of the Save America Act getting passed, because I honestly just think it's a losing game. I don't know. It seems that Leader John Thune is just hell-bent on it not getting passed, and it's at the point where he won't even put Democrats up on the podium and have them explain themselves. Why don't you want this to pass? Give us the reason. Give us your harebrained psychotic reason why you don't want the Save America Act to pass. Because it would essentially force them to have to do so. They'd have to stand up there on the podium and explain why they don't want it to pass. But Leader John Thune doesn't even want that to happen. It's crazy. RNC Research, Democrat Governor of Andy Beshear, Democrat Governor of Andy Beshear, thinks that the Save America Act is meant to prevent a number of people from voting. I think they left out the state, but okay. Yes, illegals. Why is Beshear is not worried about the over 270,000 non-citizens illegally registered to vote? So we'll hear 16 seconds of him.
About his so-called Saves Act. That, at least in my opinion, is meant to just prevent a number of people from voting, including women who have changed their last name and carry that on their driver's license.
Yeah, that's like literally the only thing. It's like literally the only thing that the Democrats keep saying if they want to come up with a reason. Well, like, women have changed their last names, so that means like they can't really do anything. They can't get a job anymore. They can't apply for a credit card because, well, they changed their last name. They're just incapable of anything happening right now. which is absolute total bullshit. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, people have been registering to vote and getting voter ID and even your voters, the voter card that has your precinct and all that information on it. I mean, like, there's every single other conceivable way that if you get married and you change your last name, that you can still get anything it is that you want, from a library card all the way up to a social security card, because I'm pretty sure they hand those out when you change your last name after you get married. I mean, maybe they don't, but I'm pretty sure they do. From Eric Daugherty, update, Senator Rick Scott says the Senate GOP leadership should be forcing daily votes all week long on bills like the Save America Act with no recess until it's approved, force the 90-10 issue onto the floor, and make Democrats defend it rather than rolling over. That's what I'm talking about. This is how we win. We need to be up there at least 5 days a week.
I've been very vocal about this. We need to be up there 5 days a week. We need to do like my mom
7
said.
days a week.
I couldn't leave the house on
8
Saturday
days a
morning
week.
until we clean the house. We shouldn't be leaving until we get these things done. But worst case, we ought to be voting all day long about the things that are important to Americans. How do we get the price of housing down? How do we get inflation? How do we balance a budget? And we ought to be trying things every day. What can we get done? Every day we ought to be voting.
But more than voting, the messaging. Again, Larry is so specific about that, and I think it's so true. Americans don't see that messaging that you were just talking about. What are you going to do to change the lives of Americans who feel overwhelmed by not being able to buy a house or dealing with the house that they bought? Maybe deal with various parts of the.
Okay, well, obviously they start moving on to the next topic. And let's go down to the next one. I think I have some more on the Save America Act. From Florida's Voice, new DOJ's Dillon says the Justice Department will take voter roll fight to the Supreme Court. Thank God. I mean, I would assume that it might get some movement, although Amy Coney Barrett's so freaked out that she just seems to be voting almost exclusively for the left these days because she's just so worried about her security and all the death threats and everything. But anyway, 20 states have given us their voter rolls voluntarily, and we found hundreds of thousands of people on those voter rolls who shouldn't have been there. And those are the states willing to give them over, which translates to most likely red states that gave those over.
This is a huge problem, and we need to increase confidence of the American voters in our system of voting, and not a single American vote should be diluted. And notice, Liz, how they keep moving the goalposts. First, they say it doesn't happen. Then they say it's really rare. And now they're saying, well, it happens quite a bit, but actually it didn't change the outcome of any elections. I don't know what the next shoe is going to drop, but I can tell you that the DOJ is taking this very seriously.
Good. And you may take it to the Supreme Court?
Yeah, which we saw earlier this week that Elizabeth Warren was pressed on that, and she said, well, it's already illegal. It's illegal for non-citizens to vote in our elections. And that's just all she said. She's like, well, it's already the law. Okay, well, anything else to add to that? Nope. All right, so AG Harmy Dillon, another one from her. Good, every state needs to do this. Get rid of the dead folks, too, while you're still at it. So she's talking about John Solomon, who posted more than 3,000 Alaska voters asked to verify citizen ahead of midterm elections. It's going to be on Just the News. I don't think that Just the News paywalls. Pretty sure they don't. More than 3,000 letters were sent to registered voters in Alaska asking them to verify their U.S. citizenship prior to the state's August 18th primaries, according to the Alaska Division of Elections. Lawmakers are given the unusually large number of scrutiny as the Trump administration looks to strengthen citizenship checks prior to the 2026 midterm elections. Typically, according to election officials, the number is closer to 200 voters flagged during routine voter roll maintenance. The high number may be the result of outdated information in the State of Division of Motor Vehicles records. Voters who received the letters are moved to inactive status, but not removed from the rolls. Those who don't respond may cast a provisional ballot by affirming under oath they're citizens and meet all qualifications to vote. No supporting documentation is required to verify citizenship, election officials said, and voters who respond to the letters are moved to active status. And is that all we got? Yep, I think that's all we got. All right, short, simple, to the point. Happening in Alaska. It's an unusually high number, but, they probably should frankly be asking everybody that question, but all right. And moving on to Rep. Jim McGovern, who happens to be a Democrat. The SAVE Act is a terrible law. Republicans want to kick people out of the voting booth by passing extremely restrictive laws, making it nearly impossible for many legal and eligible voters to prove their identity at the polls. I mean, look, anybody can get their birth certificate. You can get a real ID. I think every state, maybe Pennsylvania might be the only state that doesn't have real ID yet. Or you could use your passport. I don't have a passport, but I have a birth certificate because we all have birth certificates. It's not hard to get one. It requires American citizens to go in person to a town or country clerk's office, a county clerk's office. Just what America asked for, more paperwork. No, you actually don't have to. It's like 47 states out of 50 states. You can do it all online on a single website. They handle birth certificates for virtually every state in the entire country, and it's actually extremely easy. I've already shown it here on the Swamp like 2 or 3 times in the past, just going through step by step. It's super easy to do. To register to vote with a birth certificate or passport, and tough luck if you changed your name when you got married and it doesn't match anymore. Here we go again. But that's something that the state handles. The federal government doesn't do that. You and your blue state make it easy to do whatever it is that you need to do to make sure they get their birth certificates. Waive the fees. If they say, well, it costs so much to get your birth certificate in state of New York, maybe it's like $600 or something stupid like that. Okay, well then waive the fee. Just waive the fee. The bill is designed to prevent legal, eligible American citizens from voting. Full stop. All right, so, that's just one. I could have shown 20, 30 of those because they were all over the place today. The Democrats just going absolutely nuts. In fact, if it wasn't such a busy day and a whole lot of things happening today, I wouldn't mind just spending 20, 30 minutes just going over Democrat post after Democrat post because they're, frankly, pretty entertaining. From Steve Scalise, thank you, President Trump. Let's get it done. And he's talking about this. Thank you to all the senators who opposed yet another Democrat-led attempt to undermine our national security. Congratulations to our great Speaker, Mike Johnson, and the House Republicans for their major success in taking the first step toward passing the budget bill. Thank you to our terrific chairman, Jody Arrington, Chip Roy, Michelle Fishback, Virginia Fox, Jason Smith, Mike Rogers, G.T. Thompson, Brian Steele, our incredible whip, Tom Emmer, Majority Leader Steve Scalise, and all of those who came together to take this important step. This will be one of the most consequential bills in American history, strengthening our powerful military, providing aid for our farmers, and most importantly, as much of the Save America Act as possible. Our voters will be extremely happy and even impressed. I'm asking that the Senate adopt a budget resolution which can pass with a simple majority before leaving for the August recess. We are ready to work side by side with the Senate to get this done for the American people. President Donald J. Trump on his Truth Social. Rolling on to the next, he's got one more. President Xi at our recent meeting in Beijing. We're switching gears here, inching closer over to the Iran situation. President Xi at our recent meeting in Beijing, China, he told me that he would not, under any circumstances, give or sell weapons to the Islamic Republic of Iran. And that statement included Chinese companies. Considering our relationship, I take him at his word. And besides, I'm doing him very big favors also. Likewise, President Putin. Despite the horrible war going on in Ukraine, the relationship remains as it does with President Zelensky, told me that he would not sell weapons to Iran. He understands that I do not sell weapons to Ukraine, but to NATO countries who then hand the weapons over to Ukraine. They pay full price and how those weapons are distributed, and I have no idea. Therefore, 2 major countries that people speak of often in terms of Iran are, in my opinion, not participating. If they did, it would be very bad for them. Certainly not in their best interest. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. All right. Well, yeah, I don't think that Russia would really be supplying a whole lot to Iran because they probably don't have a whole lot to supply to Iran because they've been dealing with the Ukraine war for years, like years. It's been a long time at this point. It's crazy how fast time's been flying. From Eric Doherty, now President Trump's military blockade on Iran just fired upon a second commercial ship that tried to circumvent the blockade 4 times. 47 is refusing to back down. No Iran ships will get through. The Iranian economy is being decimated.
This military has fired on and disabled another commercial ship trying to violate its blockade on Iranian ports. It happened in the Gulf of Oman. The U.S. Central Command saying the ship tried to run the blockade at least 4 times.
Dang.
It's the second vessel to be disabled since the military reimposed that blockade. President Trump, meantime, says he has not yet made a decision. This military has fired on and disabled another commercial ship trying to...
Okay, so there you go. That was that. And let's go on to the next one. Defiant L's question, have you made a decision about the major strikes? And Trump said, no, I haven't. We're talking to them right now. I think they're getting more and more serious as the days go by. I consider that the smarter way.
You made a decision about the major strikes that you're referring to? Okay. Should we expect to see major strikes?
Look, we're talking to them right now. I think they're getting more and more serious as the days go by, for maybe the obvious reason. But we are talking to them right now. Look, there are 2 ways. I consider that the smarter way, but the other is probably the easier way, doing what we're doing. And we can take that to a much higher level if we want to. You know, we're prepared to do that, as you know. We're locked and loaded. We're locked and loaded and ready to go, but we're talking to them, so I think while we're talking, we'll see what comes of it. I believe, Jeff, they're very serious. They should be.
And when you say that you're talking, is it?
I think there's rogue officers in the RGC.
Or who's involved in those talks?
Sort of everybody, JD and Marco, and a lot of people to talk to. A lot of people to talk to. It's a big deal. But really, when you get right down to it, it's not very complex. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. You know, very simple actually. But it's a big deal. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. If they have even the thought of a nuclear weapon, we will just continue to go at much higher levels. But we are talking right now, and we'll see what comes of it. I'm not, despite what everyone says about the election, I'm not in a hurry. I'm not in a hurry. We have to do it right. Elections take care of themselves. When when I went into Venezuela, everybody was against it.
It's not going to be good though if this is still going on
into Venezuela. And then 2 days later, they said, "Wow, that's fantastic." A lot of people are saying that with Iran already because it would take them 25 years to rebuild already from what they have. And again, as you know, no Navy, no Air Force, no anti-aircraft, no radar, no nothing. And we
still have aircraft,
just
though.
put up reinstituted
unified
intact airport. I guess you could I call it the iron wall on the water. Nothing gets through. Nothing. Blockade. Nothing gets through. And they sort of have to make a deal. But we are talking to them. I think they're being serious. I think they are being by far the most serious that we've seen them. But that doesn't mean we get there. We'll see what happens. But I always prefer that.
All right. Well, I would certainly hope so because there's probably not a whole lot of bridges left to blow up. Not a lot of rails to blow up. And it's only a matter of time before they just start going after the power plants. At least President Trump said that if any more U.S. service members are killed, we're going to start knocking out power plants per. So I guess it might end up starting getting to that point. I mean, like, God forbid that anybody ends up getting killed. I'm just saying that when they run out of things to blow up, they might start looking at power plants and saying, look, you better get on board or else we're going to start knocking out power. And hopefully it doesn't come to that because, just the everyday citizens are going to end up suffering the most out of that. Okay, so from Fox News, breaking the U.S. targets Iran for the 13th straight night as the conflict with the regime shows no sign of slowing down. The Trump administration is signaling even more large-scale strikes could be on the table while President Trump doubles down that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. The administration is also warning Iran that it will be held responsible for Houthi attacks in the Red Sea, raising the possibility of additional military action and renewed concerns over global oil prices. Steve Harrington reports from the region with the latest developments. Yeah, quick comment with the oil prices, at least where I live in the Tampa Bay area. It's $4 a gallon. It was almost completely $4 a gallon. I drove around, went to a few places today, and it was basically $3.99 a gallon, like pretty much everywhere I went.
Good morning. Those attacks by U.S. forces over military targets in Iran began at about 2 a.m. local time. The strikes lasted for more than 2 hours. This was the 13th night in a row that the U.S. targeted military targets inside of Iran. It comes as President Trump is warning of something possibly much bigger on the horizon, telling Axios there could be a massive attack on Iran, that the president is close to a decision, but a decision has not been made yet. One thing the president has been firm on over and over again, the fact that he says Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. Here's President Trump.
Doing very well against the Islamic Republic of Iran. We're doing extremely well. They would like to do something, but I say they're not ready yet. They got some evil intentions. We cannot let them have a nuclear weapon. If we did all this that I'm talking about your data centers, isn't that important? When they start blowing away communities one by one, we cannot let them ever even think about having a nuclear weapon, and that's exactly what's happening. They'll never have a nuclear weapon.
Okay.
President Trump has also said he intends to hold Iran responsible for attacks by Houthi terrorists on Saudi shipping inside the Red Sea. Attacks by the Houthis on 2 Saudi tankers with missiles and drones set one tanker alight and really helped to spike oil prices briefly above $100 a barrel. The president is vowing major military punishment if the Houthi attacks continue.
Well, good grief, man. Oil is extremely volatile. It's going up, it's going down. It's all over the place. All right, U.S. Ministry of Truth. Let's see, Los Del Rio. Not actually from. I actually meant to go with this one. So, breaking: Bahrain and Kuwait reportedly secretly joined the war against Iran, striking military depots with intelligence and air cover from the UAE. So that's coming out at least through them. And another one from Fox on classified video. New footage shows CENTCOM forces carrying out a new round of strikes against the Iranian regime, targeting military infrastructure tied to threats against shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. The overnight offensive marks the 13th consecutive night of U.S. strikes against Iran, continuing operations aimed at reducing the Islamic Republic's ability to threaten civilian mariners and commercial shipping. CENTCOM reports the Strait of Hormuz remains open despite recent IRGC attacks, with commercial vessels continuing to transit under U.S. military support, as more than 50,000 U.S. troops are deployed across the Middle East. And this is posted today at about 8 o'clock a.m. So this is fairly new. So yeah, this was definitely the footage they were yeah, definitely the footage from the last clip. This is like, what, 24, maybe 36 hours ago, somewhere around there. Damn. All right. Looked like one of those, one of the IRGC speedboats that they blew up, because they got hundreds of them. At least they used to. I don't know how many they got left now. Probably not a whole lot. From open source intel, OSINT 613 map, last night's U.S. strikes on Iran appear to have been the largest of the latest campaigns so far. The pattern of damage also suggests strategic bombers may have been used against several deeply buried missile and military facilities. Reported strike locations. You can read them on the screen because I can't pronounce probably not a one of them. There's 12 in total, and they're all in the area in Iran. So there you go. They're on the map. One after the next. 12 in total. All over the place. They're not just centralizing in one specific region. They're just blowing them up in strategic places all over the country, it appears. At least in the western side of the country. All right. Moving down to open source intel. Let's see. I think we might have already seen that, though. Let's see. CENTCOM. Yeah, 13th consecutive night. Yeah, we already saw that. In case I'm wrong, I'll repost it. There's a direct link to my profile below in the description. It'll take you directly to that video. And we'll read the latest from U.S. Central Command. Hold on. Let me grab the timestamp. I forgot. From 9:20 p.m. last night. So this is, as of this recording, like it's right about 24 hours old. And the U.S. Central Command forces successfully completed the 13th straight night of strikes against Iran, July 23rd at 9 p.m. Eastern. CENTCOM targeted Iranian military command centers, drone storage facilities, communication networks, coastal surveillance sites, and maritime capabilities to further diminish the threat Iran poses to civilian mariners and commercial vessels transiting the Strait of Hormuz. The international waterway remains open for transit despite recent attacks from Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Commercial vessels continue to freely navigate the strait with U.S. military support, more than 50,000 members. Okay, so I already read all this word for word. It's just copy-paste, man. But that's all right. You know, I think it's quite clear that we got the message. 50,000 troops, striking the hell out of them. And that's essentially the same message that they've been showing all week with regard to day 9, day 10, day 11. And moving to Israel force, breaking according to reports, a U.S. missile struck an Iranian missile factory, completely destroying the facility. Following the attack, the United States reportedly issued a final warning to Iran, stating that similar strikes will continue unless the Strait of Hormuz is reopened. So I gotta say, full disclosure, this is a blue check. It's not a gray check. This is not an official government source. So there's no 100 definitive way to absolutely say with absolute certainty that this is indeed footage from, whether if it's from last night or this week, or if it even really honestly happened in Iran. Plus with the advent of AI, there's all this AI slop that's out there, which I don't think that this is AI, but we'll take a look at it. I guess just a grain of salt, even though this very well could have happened. Damn, fireball. Yeah, it's just the worst footage, man. It's terrible quality. Maybe it's just the internet is so shoddy in Iran. Just the fact that they haven't shut down the internet across the country is just honestly kind of shocking to me. Unless they already have. But last I heard, they didn't. They didn't do a nationwide internet blackout, at least not yet. And another one from Fox, B-1 bombers are launching from the UK for the first time, and Iran is now warning the British bases hosting them are legitimate targets. The US says more than 50,000 American troops are in the region, including combat medics ready to support operations. At the same time, US forces carried out a 12th straight night of strikes on military targets, with President Trump warning civilian infrastructure could be targeted if Iran continues threatening commercial shipping. Let's hope it doesn't get to that. Although civilian infrastructure, of course, the left would say that translates to killing civilians, but it doesn't. It's probably just talking about bridges and stuff like that, I would imagine. So let's hear what they have to say here.
These massive B-1 bombers, of course, carry a huge conventional payload of bombs that can be refueled from the air, and at least some of them are taking off from bases in the United Kingdom. Iran has now threatened the United Kingdom, saying those bases from which the B-1s are taking off are now legitimate targets for Iran. As far as military personnel in the region, CENTCOM now saying there are more than 50,000 U.S. forces in the region, giving President Trump a wide range of options. Wall Street Journal reporting a surge in technical personnel, including 150 medics at Landstuhl Combat Medical Center in Germany. Of course, these medics trained to treat those wounded in combat. As far as U.S. attacks go, another night of attacks against Iranian military positions overnight. That's the 12th night in a row. Of course, the president has warned that civilian infrastructure targets could come under fire if Iran continues to harass commercial shipping in the region. No progress on the diplomatic front, despite the fact that Secretary of State Rubio says Iran is looking for a deal.
What are you going to do?
This is what he's talking about. Iran is begging us, okay, both directly and indirectly. Let's do a deal. Let's talk. Let's talk. Well, Iran is begging every day. The problem with Iran is every time they make a deal, the people that are in charge there, they either break it or they want to change it.
Yeah. And finally, after the Houthi terrorist separatists in Yemen claimed to have struck 2 Saudi tankers in the Red Sea, President Trump issuing another warning, saying the Houthis and their leaders in Iran could face tremendous military punishment if they further try to attack tankers in the Red Sea.
Uh-oh, they better knock that off. Better stop doing that, Houthis. What the hell are you doing? All right. And the next one comes from Bricks News. Just in, major explosions in Iran from U.S. strikes. Yikes. Damn. Fucking them up. All right. Open source intel. U.S. strikes target the Telecommunications Regulatory Authority building in Bandar Abbas, Iran. Footage has been verified by Zarion OSINT. It's like 2 different videos. Let's see if I can make this larger. Yeah, here we go. Looks like probably the same as the last clip. Let's have a look at this one. All right, just another strike. And Baba Banarias. Bahrain and Kuwait carried out their first direct strikes inside Iran, targeting suspected drone and missile storage facilities. The UAE is reported to have provided intelligence support and defensive air cover during the operation. And I want to say, okay, no, it wasn't this one. All right, anyway, never mind. Let's get to it. Like slow motion, obviously. All right, slow motion. Okay, trying to make it as dramatic as possible. Damn it did that again. Dude, the X platform has been really freaking buggy lately ever since they did these updates. From Ayal Yacobi, breaking, Saudi Arabia has launched a series of heavy strikes against the Iran-backed Houthis. Just an image. It's not a video in this instance, just showing an image of one of those strikes. And moving on to Eric Doherty. So yeah, that's right. I completely forgot about this, that the White House Correspondents' Dinner was rescheduled and it's happening tonight. And as of this recording, I think it might still be live. So after this clip and the next clip, I believe that I actually have the live feed, so I might jump in and take a look at it for a couple of minutes. And happening now, WHCA President Wade, I know I'm going to butcher her name, Weijia Zhang, gives a huge shout out to President Trump on stage for returning to the dinner after an attempted assassin disrupted the last one. President Trump, thank you. Thank you for being here again. Thank you for all your support. 47 won't let the violent left get in the way of anything.
Trump, thank you. Thank you for being here again. Thank you for all your support as we reschedule this dinner. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt and your team, thank you too. Cabinet members, members of Congress, Trump.
Members of Congress, everybody. Although I'm not sure if everybody is still there. I think like Marco Rubio is probably still in the Philippines, perhaps, or maybe not. Maybe he's there. From Overton, White House Correspondents Association President Weijia Zhang opens the dinner by publicly thanking President Trump for attending. She noted it was Trump's second appearance at a White House Correspondents' dinner in just 3 months. So we've got quotes and a few more quotes. I think that's added to the last video.
Whatever brought you here tonight, this evening is dedicated to the First Amendment and the excellent work of our colleagues and scholars. President Trump, you are joining us tonight for the second time in 3 months, and we don't take that lightly. Thank you.
Yeah, you know he's got a jam-packed schedule. He probably had to move a lot of meetings around to make this happen because they're there for hours. Watch live. President Trump attends the rescheduled White House Correspondents' dinner. And yeah, it appears to still be live, maybe.
Wow. If there's something freaky in here,
Well, definitely during commercials. Well, I just skipped to the part where President Trump takes the podium.
That was very beautiful, but this has not been an easy evening, all these awards.
Let's give it a couple of minutes.
Do I have a say in those awards, all those awards? But it's great to be back at a place that I know very well because I built it.
There you go.
And I'm very proud of it because I built it for $2.9 billion less than the Federal Reserve building, which is a lot smaller, by the way. Figure that one out. But I am delighted to be here at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Amazing people, a lot of people that I like. Some I don't like.
Some you don't like.
All. But I
crystal
respect
clear.
most of them. I must say that you do a great
the
job.
red lights just turned off.
Job, and it's an honor. As I said 3 months ago, the show must go on. We were backstage, and we both wanted to just have it go on, whether it was 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, it didn't matter. But in the end, it made more sense to do it the way we're doing it. And we had a great news conference at the White House, at a very important room, and you did very well. I think we all did very well. It was a hell of an evening, I can tell you that. Won't soon be forgotten. And I think a lot was learned from that evening. A tremendous amount was learned about security and about other things, the dangers of what we all do. But just like my presidency, the second time is always better. It's always better. And the third time will be better yet.
There you go. The third time even better. He's just trolling left.
I'm only kidding.
Obviously.
From the earliest moments after the attack on our dinner last April, I knew we had to reschedule this event as soon as possible. We had to do it very quickly, and we met very quickly. And we figured something out, but the attempted mass murder at the Washington Hilton, that's what it could have been, was an assault on our democracy itself. Very serious situation. Many of you were there with me, and some showed extreme bravery, like Pete Hegseth, Steve Miller, Tom Holman. Really? They were standing on tables, and most of you were under the tables, okay? But they did. They showed. I saw every one of them that was standing up on those tables. I didn't know if they were brave, if they were smart, if they were stupid as hell.
There's Pete.
But they were on those tables in some cases, and there were a lot of different feelings going on in the room at that moment. But after hearing the gunshots, many people yelled, "Get down, get down," which caused Nicki Minaj to start twerking. Do you believe it?
Okay.
Get down. She's the only one that really understood what that meant. It's quite an evening. But tonight we come back together to answer that heinous attack with unwavering resolve. And every one of us here this evening to show that in America, we do not yield to political violence. We can't do that.
All right. Well, I'll end up cutting it there, and I will also repost this direct link below to my profile. You can get it there, or you can go to Fox News. They did the live stream. I'm sure it's all over YouTube as well. It's probably very easy to find on YouTube. The full video of the White House Correspondents' Dinner 2.0 from July the 24th, 2026. And let's move on to Define L's Trump. I think LeBron, I believe he's talking about LeBron James. Maybe he's a racist. So I would say Michael Jordan all the way. I don't know what ridiculous question that the press asked him. I have no idea. I didn't see this yet.
And I think LeBron is, maybe he's a racist, but maybe he doesn't like Trump. I don't know. But I only like people that like me. So I would say Michael Jordan all the way.
Oh, there you go. I honestly didn't know that Michael Jordan was a Trump supporter. I didn't know that. Okay. So they might be talking about this that was posted by Mace earlier today, just a few hours ago. This was back in 2017. So LeBron James speaks out about how hard it is being black in America after someone had allegedly painted the N-word on the gate of one of his mansions. No proof that it actually happened has ever been made public. A neighborhood full of $20 million homes, and there was no security footage of the incident or of any suspects coming or going. When the police arrived shortly after the incident was reported, they were told that the gate had already been painted. What? After watching him egregiously fake getting fouled for years, it's not a stretch to believe that he faked this. I don't know anything about his basketball career at all. I mean, I know he plays basketball. I'm pretty sure I got the sport right. But
no matter how much money you have, no matter how famous you are, no matter how many people admire you, being black in America it's tough, and we got a long way to go.
I mean, he's got to be worth $500 million,
for
right?
us as a society and for us as African Americans until we feel equal. Racism will always be a part of the world, a part of America. And, hate, in America, especially for African American, is living every day. And even though that it's concealed most of the time, even though people hide their faces and will say things about you, and when they see you, they smile in your face. It's alive every single day.
Okay, well, I assumed he was going to say something about President Trump, and that's why he mentioned something about, racism with LeBron James. Evidently not, but that's the only... I actually saw that post almost immediately after I saw the post of President Trump making that remark about LeBron James, so I figured that they were directly related to each other, but maybe not. Anyway, whatever. So OSZ, Donald Trump approval rating, and this is according to the McLaughlin poll, and it is 49% approve and a disapprove at 47%. So it's just one poll that was conducted between July 15th and July 21st. Looks like his approval numbers are going up, at least with that poll it is. All right, and we've got this from Los Angeles. So the LA homelessness situation rises after 2 years of declines. The 2026 count by the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority shows city homelessness up 3.4% to 45,194 people, with unsheltered numbers rising 7.9% countrywide. Overall, homelessness increased 1.2%. So let me read that again. Countrywide, overall homelessness increased 1.2%, not 7.9%, and unsheltered by 3.3%. Mayor Karen Bass called the increase disappointing, blaming federal cuts under Trump while defending her Inside Safe program that has housed 6,000 people since 2022 at a cost of over $300 million. Though critics note that only 25% have secured permanent housing. Amid re-election debates, some areas like the Antelope Valley saw drops, but Skid Row surged 23%. It's almost as if they relocated them, fueling arguments over funding, management, and lasting solutions despite nearly $3 billion in annual spending. I'm sure the rate is still around $130,000 per homeless person. Not per year, but that's just over the last 5 years. It's still an absolute substantial, crazy, ridiculous amount of money. Especially for the homeless problem to only be getting worse. And from Steve Hilton, new report, LA homelessness is up 3.5%. Earlier this year, Newsom bragged about a 9% decrease in California. Enough of the lies. Becerra gave Newsom an A on homelessness. What would you give him? So here's his remarks.
Everywhere you go in this city, you see homelessness. And earlier this year, Gavin Newsom claimed that homelessness was down. And now that has been proved to be a lie. The new reporting is out. Homelessness is up, despite the billions and billions of dollars that have been spent. And I'm sorry, Javier Becerra giving Gavin Newsom an A grade on homelessness when this absolute scandal just goes from bad
worst
to
state in the
worse
country
to
for
totally
homelessness.
catastrophic. Enough is enough. Enough with the homelessness and enough with the lying and gaslighting about the homelessness.
Enough is enough. Steve Hilton running for governor in California. The Republican running for governor. Matthew Seedorf, let's see. Inside sources tell me LA's homeless count is expected to rise, ending 2 straight years of reported declines. The official numbers won't be released until Friday, today, but multiple sources familiar with LAHSA's latest count say homelessness is trending upward in Los Angeles. We got this
an alarming number revealed by a Fox 11 exclusive investigation. According to multiple inside sources familiar with Los's latest homeless count, the number of people living on LA streets is up, roughly 3.5% from last year.
I think it's more than that.
You think it's more?
Right.
What makes you think that?
I see it all the time.
Look around.
After 2 straight years of reported declines, sources tell Fox 11 this year's count is expected to climb back to around 2024 levels when it's released Friday.
I'm definitely concerned. We've been concerned over the last year that the numbers might go up because of the cuts we've experienced and other changes.
Last week, Mayor Karen Bass warned funding reductions to LAHSA following scrutiny over spending and management could impact progress.
Oh yeah, I don't listen to numbers. My eyes are better than numbers.
I've seen a lot going on within the streets that has helped people get inside.
This block on South Hope Street highlights the homeless crisis, where several buildings have caught fire, many people think from squatters.
These are nuisance properties, right?
And fire management was the wonder of the world in California, according to Gavin Newsom.
Fresh plywood already ripped from one of the entrances, while Martine digs through burned rubble for metal to recycle. As LA prepares for Friday's release, the numbers may be changing, but scenes like this haven't.
Downtown, we face the brunt of it.
The middle of the street,
is
drug use.
The heart of the homelessness crisis. We need help. We need more resources.
You can throw her in jail for using drugs in the street. Isn't that a felony? Oh, well, no, not in California. I'm sure it's not.
Mayor Karen Bass just sent us this statement saying for 2 years straight, we drove down homelessness by historic margins. But as expected, last year our efforts ultimately couldn't keep up with policies and funding cuts on the federal and state levels.
Says the mayor.
This crisis was ignored by city leaders for decades. It's only now that we've seen a historic decline. I will never stop fighting until no Angelenos are sleeping on our streets. Sources say that this report is also going to be broken down by city council district. Some districts saw that increase, others saw
they can't wait to start
decrease.
pointing the fingers, can
We're
they?
outside downtown. Matthew Seedorf, Fox 11 News.
Yeah, of course you got to split that up so they can say, well, this council member, it's their fault. No, it's not my fault. The numbers are going down where I am. It's going up where you are. You know, the finger pointing game. It just never gets old, apparently, in California. And we've got this from Mayor Karen Bass herself. I will never stop fighting until we end street homelessness because no Angelino should be sleeping on the street. So let's hear what her BS $24 billion in just 5 years, only to homelessness. $130,000 per homeless person. It's so much money that they've spent. Plus, at $3.3 billion that they're adding on top of that number year after year. And Gunther Eagleman, of course she did. LA Mayor Karen Bass blames Trump for a reported increase in homeless numbers. Yeah, everything's Trump's fault with their Trump derangement syndrome. Anyway, libs of TikTok, this your family's luxury compound in Uganda. She's talking about Mayor Zohran Mamdani. So he said this. He had the nerve to say this. If you have a second home in New York City worth more than $5 million, check your mailbox when you're back in the 5 boroughs because you've got mail. Today, we've sent notification letters to property owners letting them know that our new Pied et Terra tax is coming soon. The best city in the world deserves the best parks, libraries, and schools in the world. That's only possible when we all pay our fair share. So be on the lookout for lots and lots of properties to go up for sale in New York. I would imagine that. And so anyway, just circling back to libs of TikTok, that is apparently Zohran Mamdani's family's luxury compound in Uganda. So, I mean, I guess it's just more of those rules for thee and not for me. Mamdani condemns the rise in violence against Jews since he declared war on them. Yeah, Babylon B. And from Eric Doherty, Somali rep Ilhan Omar's sister has just been implicated in the massive Feeding Our Future fraud scandal in Minnesota. Nahra Noor allegedly incorporated a $20 million USAID company with the same address as a Feeding Our Future fraudster. This is a quote, Sarah Noor's Grit Partners was incorporated at an address on Hyenth Avenue belonging to Sister Afra. Afra worked directly with Sarah Noor, who ran the fake catering company that the various Feeding Our Future nonprofits used to give the feds fake receipts. And Luke Rosiak, he reports. And Afra ran a different company alongside Hannah Markegan, who pleaded guilty to stealing $7 million. We got a short clip here. I think it's just them smiling, just being stupid. All right, whatever. I think honestly, that's probably AI. I think that's AI. Yeah, maybe with Grok Imagine. Of course it's AI. So Luke Rosiak says Ilhan Omar's sister incorporated her $20 million USAID company using the same home address as major Feeding Our Future convicts. Real Daily Wire found the finding links Sarah Noor to the largest fraud in state history as Ilhan Omar refuses to cooperate with investigators. Sarah Noor's Grit Partners was incorporated at an address on Hyenth Avenue belonging to Ister Afra. Afra worked directly with Sarah Noor, who ran the fake catering company. Okay, so we basically already read all that. And Ilhan Omar's sister ties to Feeding Our Future convicts. They've got it all laid out right there. Doing their investigative journalism. In addition to being CEO of one of Noor's companies, Afra ran a different company alongside Hannah Markegan, who pleaded guilty to stealing $7 million, and she created 2 companies where Amy Bach, the FOF ringleader, was listed as point of contact. I spoke to the owner of the home and asked why it served as the linchpin connecting 3 separate Feeding Our Future masterminds, plus Ilhan Omar's own sister. He claimed he had never heard of any of the companies, and a scammer must have impersonated him. So you can read more, and it's going to, of course, be at the Daily Wire. So I'll link it. I won't go into all of it, but at the very least, I'll have it linked below, and we can move on to the next. I think there's still quite a bit to go through, and rolling on through. Guess we'll see. I don't know. Do you think that she's going to end up being prosecuted? I somehow doubt it. I think, if anything, if they start digging into it, they're going to try to just either outright stonewall it or try to do, if it makes its way to court, a continuance for this reason and that reason, just desperately hoping Democrats get power back so they can instantly just sweep it out of existence. And moving on to the redheaded libertarian in Minnesota, saying the N-word is measurably worse than looking at CSAM of 6-year-olds. 100 hours and $1,000 worse. Specifically, this is the metric for morality in this Minnesota. So just talking about this from National Conservative. In 2023, Judge Krista Daly gave Thomas Mayer, who confessed to having thousands of sexual abuse images of young children, to 100 hours of community service and a class on why child pee is bad. She gave Shiloh Hendricks 200 hours and a $1,000 fine. No jail for Rochester man convicted of possessing child sexual abuse material. January 2019 investigation by the Rochester Police Department found several child sexual abuse images of juveniles ranging in the age of 6 to 8 years old in a southeast Rochester residence. I mean, if they pulled that shit in Florida, they'd never be getting out of jail. I mean, we're getting to the point where we're ready to execute these people in Florida for pulling this shit. for the most egregious crimes that you could possibly commit. I mean, some people might even say that's even worse than murder, although, you know, it's that bad. RNC Research, Lawler for NY. Mike Lawler, quote, when you hear Kathy Hochul say, if they commit a crime, I'll be the first one to call ICE. She is full of shit because she's not doing that. So let's hear him say that.
To data compiled from ICE records between October 2022 and February 2025. Sanctuary jurisdictions and non-cooperating jails declined or ignored more than 26,000 ICE detainers on criminal aliens. Let me repeat that.
Yeah, repeat that.
Between October 2022 and February 2025, sanctuary jurisdictions and non-cooperating jails declined or ignored more than 26,000 ICE detainers on criminal aliens.
Insane.
So when you hear Kathy Hochul say, if they commit a crime, I'll be the first one to call ICE, she is full of shit.
Completely full of shit.
Because she's not doing that.
Wow, man, over 20,000. Insane. And of course, they're not wanting to arrest them because then they would have to add them to the crime statistics. If they don't arrest them, no crime statistic for that individual. And it appears that crime is just doing great in these blue states because we're just not arresting anybody. And from Alex, things are about to get interesting in the Michigan Senate race. From Polly Market from earlier. Breaking, Governor Gretchen Whitmer officially endorses Haley Stevens over Abdul El Sayed for Michigan Senate. Stevens surges to a 36% chance to win. Wow. Instant surge. Not to say that she will win, but her odds have definitely gone up. Yeah, because that Sayed dude, he's just another one of those just left-wing communists, I think. I'm pretty sure that's kind of how that goes. From Define Els, this is James Tallarico, who's running for Senate in Texas. I'm surprised he's even still running at this point, but he is. You claim that there's 6 genders. What are the 6 genders?
Question. Yes. You claim that there's 6 genders. What are the 6 genders?
Are you here to support this family?
Well,
Answer the question, dude.
I'm from South Texas. What are the 6 genders, James?
Oh, come on. Why couldn't you answer it, dude? That's a pretty straightforward question. I mean, it's only 6 genders. It shouldn't be that hard to figure out. Even though in places like New York, I think on the actual law books that there's, 72 genders? I think that's what it's, 72, maybe 73 genders in the state of New York. That's how many that they have in their laws. And the one that I'm referring to is in the workplace, that if you misgender someone in the state of New York, that individual who is misgendered can effectively sue that company for hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's absolutely incredible. Colin Rugg, press conference descends into chaos after a police surrender the mic to an unhinged lunatic following the shooting of Corey Ruiz in Wisconsin. Ruiz was shot by officers after he allegedly pulled a knife on them. Certainly hope they have body cameras. One of the most insane press conferences I've seen. Maybe arrest this guy instead of giving him the microphone.
All power to all people, 0 power to Zionists, 0 power to capitalists, 0 power to colonialism.
The thinness of trust in the city right now did not start.
Well, we can shut this down. You can stop talking because we don't want to.
All right, hold on one sec. Okay, the sound's only coming through one side, so I had to switch up my headphones.
Well, we can shut
Here we
this down.
go.
You can stop talking because we don't want to hear anything you've been saying. You're going to say the same thing you all say every time a black body gets shot down in this city. This is a corrupt city. That's right. Have no fear. The anti-Zionist is here. You understand me? You won't be able
He's
to
getting
talk
paid?
today because I'm
He's
gonna
a
keep talking.
paid actor, maybe?
I was born to talk my talk and walk my walk too. I told these young people back here on our way here that we have the power. Not that badge, not that weapon. We have the power. The city of Madison is corrupt. From the DA to the what's the name of this?
Doesn't even know.
Department of Independent Monitoring. We don't want any of that talk. You've given us this speech with your.
Does he even live in Wisconsin?
We've seen the
maybe,
cameras.
maybe not.
We've seen there was a knife in this young man's hand. We don't want to hear that today. We didn't want to hear it when they put their neck on George Floyd's neck. We don't their foot on George Floyd's neck, and we don't want to hear it today. That's that
wasn't in Wisconsin though.
No. Oh, you don't get to talk, I said. Right. Go ahead.
And he's got the megaphone. I mean, he's not a paid actor. He's well equipped.
Excuse me. That's right. My name is Carlos.
Oh my God! They actually let him do this. These cops are insane.
0 power to capitalists. 0 power to colonialism. What you are doing right now in this city is continuing the disgusting nature of colonialism. Come up here. This is our press conference. And I put my lips all over this microphone. Power to the people. No power to Zionists. That's right. Anybody got anything they want to say? Let us know. You got some questions y'all want to ask? Ask us some questions. We're taking questions.
Says a guy who wasn't there, literally knows nothing about what happened.
Turn up your Zionist noses because
Johnny, man, they're paying him a lot of money. Whichever NGO, whichever nonprofit, you're getting paid from somebody.
We will not stand. I am a part of the class that has been oppressed and struggled my entire life. My grandmother struggled. My mother struggled. Their grandmother struggled. Those people struggled. We go back far enough and we can see.
Got the sunglasses on so he doesn't get identified probably. Like, oh, he's been to all these other protests all over the country
right here on America
with his megaphone.
You guys want to host your bourgeoisie revolution. You guys want to run your mouths about how disgusting socialism is. You haven't seen socialism, okay? You see my hand right here? This is how you this is fragmentation.
In other words, from his point of view, socialism is revenge.
Congo, America, Sudan, Venezuela. But when you put that fist together, you get the power of intercommunalism. I have smelled the Zionism all throughout your city.
Very prosperous countries you named.
To imperialism.
So we got to have a conversation. We don't have to monopolize to get our points.
This microphone ain't even on. And what we have already been through.
And you know what? If and when they release the body cam footage, that absolutely definitively proves that the guy pulled a knife on the cops and that's why he got shot. It's just not going to be enough. It's going to be either crickets or it's just going to be more of just, you know, the riots, the looting. I don't even know if that's even happening this weekend, but based on this, it seems like that's probably going to end up happening this weekend.
Let him finish so that we can actually hear the
And now you're yelling at a black woman continuing.
So emotional.
No, you don't get to walk up on me, brother. You don't get, it don't matter. You don't get, I ain't no shaking no motherfucking hands with no imperialists. I don't do that. You're in my space right now, too. Now I'm going to back up right here, and if you keep walking up on me, I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. This ain't your show, brother.
They want the chaos.
I'm tired, too. Hey, okay, so he's going to have a conversation, or he's going to hear what they got going on and how they got it going on. This is a new show, and we ain't running it like that.
Why are the cops so apologetic? I mean, they're making it appear as though that they did do something wrong.
Look, this is not your show. Here's the thing. We all witnessed on social media last night a human being take the life of another human being.
Because I'm like that.
No, you're not.
I'm like that.
Because if you was, you'd have did.
I'm like that.
Do it.
And, of course, I can't show that because it's probably too graphic. I don't know, he's, what, FaceTiming, getting on social media, doing a Facebook Live. Come on, dude. Get your megaphone under control.
Please continue on with what you got to say, and please respond to any questions that is asked when you...
Damn, how embarrassing.
Clearly, trust is not... So in accordance... I will...
Gotta get to the press conference.
My friend, I will take every question you have of me.
Wow, man, what an absolute disaster. I mean, talk about a police department that looks absolutely guilty from top to bottom for them allowing that to happen. Unbelievable. All right, so let's move on to Nick Sorter. Now, anti-police protesters are surrounding a woman's vehicle in Madison, Wisconsin, as she begs for them to let her go. Madison is going to end up burning. Probably is as I'm speaking. I wouldn't be surprised if BLM is doing their best to make sure of it. You know what's hilarious? This lady is probably on their side. She says, I want to join the protest. Yeah, see? Told you. It's too easy.
Why did he call you the C word?
Because I wanted to get through and he wouldn't let me. I had a whole block. There's no reason
This is the America that they want.
I love my neighborhood. I love my neighborhood. This is what my problem with this is. I saw the guy today with the MAGA hat.
Well, you better get used to this, lady.
Liberals. I don't think that's right to come down and try and instigate problems. I just wanted to get to my house. That is it.
Oh, wait, I thought you wanted to join the protest.
Something in this world, and some people just want to leave.
I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave. Listening to me. Because what happened is wrong. I know.
Sir, you're going this way here.
All right. So there you have it. Happening in Madison, Wisconsin. And if they do have body camera footage of what happened, they need to be releasing it right now, like as soon as humanly possible. That should just go without saying. But in a state like I live in the state of Florida, they'd be releasing that within a couple hours. They'd be right on top of it. Not sure if they're going to go about that in Wisconsin. I'm assuming they got to have body cameras. I mean, come on. Does the Madison Police Department wear body cameras? No, they do not. Officers in the Madison Police Department do not routinely wear body-worn cameras. Madison remains the only major city in Wisconsin whose department does not equip frontline officers with the technology, primarily due to ongoing municipal budget disagreements and policy debates. And so, yeah, it's crazy, but apparently it's a progressive activism that has kept them from getting police body cameras. And let's see. So the absence of body cameras in the Madison Police Department stems from long-standing impasse involving heavy municipal costs pushed back from progressive activists. I thought they were all about body cameras. They kept saying that we've got to get body cameras on every officer so they can document all of this injustice that's happening, but evidently not. So let's see what else we got. All right, so why pushback from the progressives? They heavily advocated for body cams in order to prove injustice. The early progressive consensus that body cameras would easily prove police injustice has shifted significantly over the last decade as activists observed how the technology operates in practice. In other words, they can't steer the narrative if there's police body cameras definitively showing exactly what happened. But they claim that the police department has control over the narrative and footage. Activists argue that the promise of transparency is an illusion because the police department ultimately controls the data. The selective release, they can decide when, which, I mean, like, why does that really matter? You think that regardless of if they're in the right or in the wrong, they'd be releasing it as soon as possible. But they decide when to release the footage, how much to redact, and how to frame the narrative during press conferences. Dude, anytime that there's some like high stakes anything going on when it comes to that, like especially like if somebody like the police is being accused of committing any kind of injustice or a wrongful murder or a race-related murder, they almost instantly release the entire thing from start to finish. I mean, like George Floyd, did they selectively redact shit in the George Floyd body camera footage? I don't believe so. I'm pretty sure that they played not only every second of the entire encounter, but they played it from multiple angles, from multiple police officers. But anyway, camera manipulation. Local oversight officials have raised concerns about officers muting audio or failing to activate cameras at critical moments, which can distort the reality of an encounter. Look, there's a very mild argument to be made for that police officers, they do have control over their individual body cams, that they can mute it or they can turn it off selectively. But still, like what's the alternative? Having no body cameras whatsoever. But they say, well, having body cameras, the police steer the narrative. But without body cameras, it's the left who can control the narrative. It's them who can distort the narrative and change it to whatever that they want it to be. And so, yeah, and as a consequence, it looks like the city of Madison might be burning down this weekend because they refuse to equip their officers with body cameras. And there's probably no good footage. There's probably like a camera somewhere on the street corner that might have got some angle of it, but it's probably going to be absolutely useless because you're probably not going to be able to see exactly how it played out. So there you go, Madison, Wisconsin. I guess that's what happens when you give the left power and you put them in charge, the outrage mob, when they demand the body cameras and then they start realizing, oh shit, actually, if the police departments have body cameras and they record everything, it just ends up proving us wrong over and over again, us the progressives, because we talk about this injustice and that injustice, and then the body cam gets released, and then all of a sudden, oh wow, we were like absolutely completely wrong. We can't have that anymore. All right, so whatever. So let's move on to the next thing. From Becky Noble, while the left tells us communism is great, 250,000 people fled Cuba back in 2025. So why is it so great if people are fleeing the communist countries? And Cuba's not really the easiest country to flee. in terms of like just in a physical sense. You got to jump on a raft that you piece together from just like recyclable material pretty much, and you have to cross the Florida Straits. That's shark infested. The currents are strong. A lot of them just get swept out into the middle of the Atlantic somewhere. It's no joke. You know, it's not easy to flee a communist country if it's situated on an island. In 2016, at the World Economic Forum, Danish politician Ida Auken made a prediction about life in 2030. It's a little too large. There we go. So she made the now infamous statement, "You'll own nothing and you'll be happy." But they forgot like the couple of words at the very end that what they really meant. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy, or else. And apparently, Ida Auken has never been to the island paradise of Cuba. The people of Cuba own nothing, and they are far from happy. In fact, Cubans are so unhappy that the Cuban government recently admitted to some grim statistics. A recent bleak admission from the Castro regime confirmed the ongoing population collapse in Cuba continued unabated in 2025, with a perfect storm of record low birth rates and 250,000 Cubans fleeing the island. Also thrown into the mix is the fact that Cuba's population is the oldest in Latin America and the Caribbean, with 26% of the population aged 60 and older. Wow. So they are about to have a full-on population collapse. Well, they're, I guess, arguably in the process of it right now. That affects not only the birth rate, but also means that Cuba has lost 1.25 million working age people. The new report released by Cuba's National Office of Statistics and Information, OENI, showed 9,434,593 citizens remaining in Cuba at the end of 2025. That is down 313,414 from the 9.7 million reported in 2024. In 2017, Cuba showed a population of 11.2 million people. And just at the end of 2025, it was all the way down to 9.4 million, meaning that 16% of its population has been lost in that time frame. However, independent studies show the number could be as high as 24%. The number of people leaving the country has been consistent over the last few years, with 245,264 leaving in 2025, 307,000 in 2024, 330,000 in 2023, and 500,000 in 2022. The majority of those who leave are between the ages of 20 and 40 and leave from the capital city of Havana. Well, they're in, I don't know if they'd be like in the best of health, but that would just be the time where they're relatively in the prime of their life and having the ability to take that risk, as opposed to being elderly. I'm sure it'd be a lot more difficult to do so. OENI has measured Cuba's natural growth rate at -7.1 per 1,000 residents. That means Cuba is losing population before accounting for migration. But Cuba's biggest problem is the rapidly dwindling birth rate. There were just 68,064 documented births in 2025. That's it, 68,000. But there were 136,214 deaths. And that's obviously not including the 250,000 who fled the country. And not surprisingly, the child mortality rate was around 9.9 per 1,000 births. And to that, a 1.29 children per woman fertility rate for the second year in a row, the lowest since 1958. But wait, we have been told by the far left that the Cuban healthcare is the best. I don't know. Yeah, that's what I keep hearing. Oh, yeah, the socialized medicine, they got the best healthcare ever, best doctors ever. With the rise of popularity of democratic socialism in the U.S., aren't American democratic socialists even the least bit curious about why anyone would flee a communist utopia like Cuba? Of course not, because they know democratic socialism, communism, or whatever you want to call it, only benefits those at the top. It's taken almost 70 years, but Cuba's on the verge of total collapse. Well, what happened once that collapse is complete is unknown right now. What will the excuse for that collapse be from the democratic socialists? Trump with their derangement syndrome, Trump derangement syndrome. It was all Trump's fault. It's because he kidnapped Nicolas Maduro, who's a hero. He's a martyr for Venezuela. And that's why that Cuba has collapsed, because President Trump has completely choked the supply of oil and he's starving everybody in Cuba. It's all Trump's fault. There will probably be just silence. Democratic socialists don't like to talk about Cuba because it is a living example of the end result of what they want for America. Yep. They want to pillage. They want to steal everything out from under us. And that's it. So there you go, from Red State. I'll have that link below. I know there were a couple of posts and a couple of images that I skipped past. It'll be down below if you want to take a look at the rest of that. And another from Red State, AI-powered ghost students are looting federal student aid, according to the Treasury Department. So great, now they're using AI to steal our money. AI-powered ghost students. Let's see. Foreign and domestic fraud rings are stealing federal student aid by creating fake students and hijacking real identities and using artificial intelligence to keep phony applicants enrolled long enough to collect taxpayer-funded refunds. The Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, or FinCEN, issued an alert on Friday directing financial institutions to watch for and report suspicious activity connected to the schemes. FinCEN developed the alert with the Education Department's Office of Inspector General and the FBI. Directly from the Treasury Department today, FinCEN News. Oh, it's going to take us to X because I clicked on it. All right. Here we go. FinCEN News issued an alert urging financial institutions to detect, prevent, and report suspicious activity connected to fraud schemes targeting student aid programs administered by the federal government. The schemes not only result in losses to federal student aid programs, but in some cases, real students face difficulties enrolling in classes because the number of fraudulently enrolled quote-unquote students. And let's see, moving on. The Education Department's Office of Federal Student Aid distributes more than $120 billion each year in grants, also work-study funds, and loans to roughly 13 million students. Friday's alert extends the fraud crackdown to the banks where student aid refunds are deposited and moved. Schools apply the aid to tuition and fees. Any money left over is refunded to the student, and that balance is what the rings are after. Some rings create ghost students with stolen personal information. Others build synthetic identities from scratch, combining stolen data with fabricated details and forged documents. Open enrollment community colleges and online programs are the primary targets. Low barriers to entry cut both ways. I thought you had to use your social security number or something like that to apply for student aid, and they'd be able to just have the ability to instantly flag it as not being a real social security number. I don't know. A fake student still has to stay enrolled long enough to get paid, and still refunds require 60% of the term. That's used to weed out the lazier fraud rings. Now AI chatbots handle the coursework, or the rings just hire someone to do it. The person whose identity was stolen may not learn about it until applying for aid or finding student loan debt in his or her name. Some victims are minors. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent was blunt about who pays. Every dollar stolen from federal student aid is a dollar taken from taxpayers and deserving students. The Trump administration will not tolerate criminals who exploit government programs for personal gain. Treasury is working with financial institutions and law enforcement to, anyway, ... And I will just stop there and have that linked below. And we've also got this from South Carolina. South Carolina state law bans tattoos on faces and necks. Cue the My Rights crowd. I don't know how they can do this. I mean, it's your body, it's your choice. And of course, that's what the left is going to say. So I don't know, man. Like, I get maybe implementing a law or passing a law saying that if you're under the influence of anything, which is probably already, I don't know, maybe if that's strictly speaking the law, I think it is. Or if you're under the influence or whatever, because, you know, some people do that. They'll get their face tattooed and they'll wake up freaking out, rightfully so. But here's the deal with the news cycle full of stories about the war in Iran, Democratic Socialist, Marxist mayors' latest destructive nonsense, election fraud, Medicaid fraud, and other fun stuff. I decided to take a short trip off the beaten path. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Many, if not most of us, are aware free speech cases are often messy, usually replete with uncomfortable facts. This is one of those cases. A South Carolina tattoo parlor is challenging a state law that not only prohibits tattoo shops from operating within 1,000 feet of churches or schools or playgrounds, but also bans tattoos on the face, neck, and head altogether. Whether you think face tattoos are a terrible idea or not, I do, with the worst of them being abhorrent. The lawsuit raises a familiar constitutional question. Can the government restrict protected expression simply because it doesn't like the message or the canvas, as it were? Great question with multiple opinions and varied arguments. Like, just on the surface, I say this is absolutely insane. If you want to get your face tattooed, get your face tattooed. It's your face. The goal of the lawsuit, filed by the Pacific Legal Foundation on behalf of the New York tattoo shop Tiny Zaps, is to clear the way for the business to open a South Carolina location. Tiny Zaps insists the government has no business deciding where or on what body part people can get inked, arguing that tattoos are a form of artistic expression protected by the First Amendment. According to the complaint, tattoos communicate ideas and milestones, express beliefs, and so on. We've all seen, I get it, the whole self-expression thing. Let's see. Oh, yeah, of course, the Mike Tyson getting his face tattoo. Okay, well, this is a very heavily opinion article, but I mean, I think we got the point that they are, that they have banned face and neck tattoos in South Carolina. I had no idea that was the thing. Is that new? It sounds like something that's probably been a law for a long time. Anyway, Alpha News, new Abdiaziz Shafi Farah has been sentenced to 10 years in prison for attempting to bribe a juror during his fraud trial. The 10 years will be served on top of the 28 years Farah is serving for his role in the Feeding Our Future scheme. He just couldn't stop. I mean, this dude is just a fraudster by nature. It's in his blood. At the point he was trying to bribe a juror with money. I would assume money that he fraudulently obtained, because of course. Man sentenced to 120 months in prison for the role in bribing a juror during Feeding Our Future trial up in St. Paul, Minnesota. United States Attorney Daniel N. Rosen announced today that Abdiaziz Shafi Farah, 37, was sentenced to 120 months imprisonment for attempting to bribe a federal juror during his 2024 fraud trial. He was sentenced before U.S. District Judge Eric C. Tostrud in St. Paul on July 22nd, 2026. Unreal. You got 10 years for that. Just trying to bribe a juror. So I'm reposting that if you want to read the details of that. And let's rock and roll to Rawless Alerts breaking. Secret Service reportedly urged Trump to abandon the Qatari-donated Air Force One after a credible Iranian threat emerged during the NATO summit. So I decided to ask Grok, just because that's the easy thing to do when I'm in a time pinch. Is this legitimate concern from the Secret Service? And according to Crockett, it is. Reporting from the New York Times and CBS News, if you choose to believe them, confirms the Secret Service advised and in some accounts urged President Trump to depart Turkey on the older legacy Air Force One instead of the newer Qatari-donated 747-8 bridge aircraft. It was described as a precautionary measure amid resumed hostilities with Iran, not a plane-specific threat. The newer plane rushed into service as a stopgap, reportedly lacks some advanced defensive systems and secure comms of the legacy VC-25A. White House and Air Force officials say it's equipped with high-level security, but the switch reflects legitimate caution during upgrades. Trump later noted it would get further maxed out retrofits. So, wow. I mean, look, if Secret Service if that is true and they're advising President Trump to get on the old Air Force One because it's more secure over here in the Middle East, then I would say you probably should listen to them. Even though they are the Secret Service, they don't have the best history with President Trump, but especially if they've got it there. I mean, like, dude, is it there? Are they following the new Air Force One with the old Air Force One? Are they actually doing that? They're actually flying both of them just in case that the old one might be needed. That would not surprise me for a second. That is exactly how our government would spend money. And moving to Second Lady Usha Vance. Thank you for all the good wishes as we settle into life as a family of 6. They had their 4th child recently. Meet Alec and enjoy these attempts at taking a decent family photo with 4 kids. And I want to say he was born on the 19th, but I'll double check. And yes, that is correct. On July 19th, Second Lady Usha Vance gave birth to their 4th child, a baby boy named Alec Neil Vance. The birth took place at the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center in Maryland. Child's name, Alec Veal Nance, Sunday, July 19th, 2026. So they've got their 4th. I wonder if they got any more planned in the future. They're going to have 5, 6, 8, 10, 20. I wouldn't be surprised, but she's the first. How do they word it? She's the first second lady while the vice president is in office to ever give birth. It's the first time. That's a first. Anyway. All right, what else do we have? I think I'm getting close to the end, actually. FBI Director Kash Patel back in Beijing to continue the extraordinary work under the Trump administration, shutting off fentanyl precursor pipelines. But dude, I thought you fixed this the first time. So you have to go back to do it all over again? Using taxpayer money, flying all the way out to China to try to, I guess, add on to the work that he did before, even though I thought that he had all this wrapped up with China, but evidently not. Shutting off fentanyl precursor pipelines, expanding our joint operations on scam centers. So maybe he's there to build on that too. Violent crimes against children and the already successful fugitive task force. These historic results have been possible through my direct engagements with Vice Minister Xu Datong of the Ministry of Public Security, or MPS. Also, State Councilor Minister Wang Xiaohong himself provided me with an audience, marking the first such meeting for the FBI in our history, demonstrating the resolve of this relationship. Under President Trump's leadership, America's national security team has the ability to engage directly with our counterparts to deliver law enforcement successes never before seen. We are saving lives, protecting children, shuttering scam centers, and bringing fugitive justice. Special thanks to Ambassador Perdue and his team for once again being a tremendous teammate. DKP, Director Kash Patel. And there he is in China, meeting with the officials, getting all diplomatic. The director of the FBI in China. So yeah, that was posted 10 hours ago as of this recording. Congresswoman Laurel Lee. It was an honor to host you, Secretary Kennedy, for this important announcement. Last week in Florida, I joined Senator Ashley Moody and Rep. Laurel Lee and Rep. Kat McCamick to announce a common sense update to an FDA orange juice regulation. This action supports Florida citrus growers, what's left of them, no thanks to citrus greening, reduces reliance on imported oranges, and strengthens American agriculture. Let's have a listen to this.
Hi, I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr., your HHS Secretary. In 1963, the FDA passed a rule establishing minimum sugar levels for Florida orange juice for all orange juices. Because of greening disease and hurricanes and other weather events, the Florida oranges dropped the amount of sugar that they produce. And as a result, they couldn't sell their oranges for juice. 90% of the juice comes from foreign countries now.
Yep. Brazil, South Africa.
Today's announcement allows for Florida oranges to go into Florida orange juice and stop having to import foreign oranges.
So what are they just going to use added sugar, I guess?
Today will make sure
Maybe
that
it's not sweet
American
enough.
families get more fresh
hopefully
food
not.
on their table, and it will protect and promote Florida's iconic citrus industry.
The Trump administration,
Well,
under
again,
the
what's left
leadership
of it.
of President Trump, Secretary Rollins, and Secretary Kennedy, they are putting Americans first and making sure that common sense is back on the table, in addition to fresh Florida orange juice.
I'm so grateful to President Trump. These ladies brought this issue to them. They said this is another nonsensical regulation that is hurting American agricultural industry. President Trump immediately said, I'm going to fix it. And as of today, it is fixed. So drink Florida orange juice made of fresh Florida oranges, and let's make America healthy again.
All right, well, I will. There's enough oranges left in the state to make a bottle of orange juice because, yeah, it's been decimated. I mean, if you're familiar with Florida, if you live here, you might remember, probably 12, 15, maybe 20 years ago, certainly 20 years ago, we had these I guess they were kind of touristy in nature because they had the little gift shops, but they had these orange warehouses that were all over the place. And pretty much all the cities, I think. They were certainly all over the place where I'm from, and they just disappeared, just one by one, because it was kind of a hub for orange distribution, where they would distribute them to other grocers and other locations, but they would allow the public to come in and look at all the machinery and all that fun stuff, and just these massive stockpiles of oranges, and you could buy the oranges directly there, and they were dirt cheap. You get like 5 pounds of oranges for $1.50. It was like crazy cheap. And they had orange ice cream. I think that's what they were most famous for, like a lot of these different warehouses and locations. And they had orange everything, like any kind of like food, treat, candy. It was all just made with real Florida oranges. But since the citrus industry was absolutely decimated from citrus greening, over 90% since 2005, our entire citrus industry. I mean, I'm assuming that's why they went out of business, because there's just hardly any oranges left. What are the oranges for? All right, so Elon Musk, wow, in wokeness. 2025 global births by country. These are the top 50, of course, with India. India gave birth to 23.1 million people last year. And China, 8.7 million. Nigeria, 7.6 million. The United States is down at number 8 with only 3.7 million. And it just trails off from there. It goes down and down and down, all the way to the bottom. Number 50, Saudi Arabia, 565,000. Of course, it's like relative to the population. But still, there you go. Elon Musk is surprised about that. I mean, look, the numbers do sound low to me. I mean, only 3.7 million births in the United States last year. It seems like a low number. All right. From Nick Stoller, let's go. SpaceX just successfully launched Starship from Starbase, the 13th Starship flight, as they get closer and closer to securing a reusable rocket the size of a 40-story building, only in America. Congratulations to Elon Musk and the SpaceX team. It's about 3 minutes. We're going to finish up with this. It's a big-ass rocket, man. Oh, man, they painted black? Looks like they painted it black. Damn, what a view, man. It's awesome. Very advanced.
Vehicle is pitching downrange. Booster after chamber pressure is nominal.
moments into flight. 33 out of 33 Raptor engines lit on the Super Heavy booster, arcing away from us here at Starbase.
At Starbase.
Coming up on
5.8 kilometers.
Aerodynamic pressure, which again for this flight is going to be higher than it has been on any of our previous Starship flights.
Nice. One step at a time. Got the diagram of the Raptor engines in the bottom left.
Maximum aerodynamic pressure over a minute now into flight. Still seeing 33
they're
out
moving.
of 33 Raptor engines
2,000 kilometers an hour.
burning. Our next major moment's going to be coming up in just a little over a minute from now.
Stage separation.
When we're going to get to hot staging. We're going to shut down all but 5 of those engines on the booster. It's our version of MECO. Most engines cut off. And then we're going to ignite the 6 engines on the ship while it is still attached, to do that separation. As a reminder, we try to do a directional flip, so when you watch on your screen, we're hopefully going to be sending that booster towards the bottom of the frame. For the booster itself, it's like doing a flip up. It'll go towards the bottom of your frame. We do that by lighting the engines in a slightly staggered sequence.
Look at that shadow, man. How cool is that? Out in the ocean, the shadow from the smoke plume.
Standing by for hot staging.
Hot staging. Let's rock. 5,000 kilometers an hour. Almost 6,000. Any second.
All but
3,
5
2,
engines
1.
down.
Here we go.
What's up?
6 ignite.
Burn startup.
Ignition.
And the booster now doing its boost back burn. It looks like we lit all 33 initially. Now we're down to 13. We're seeing 6 out of 6 Raptors lit on the ship.
6 Raptors lit. Okay, well that's all we got for that one. I guess we didn't see it play out to the end. Just had a 3-minute version of that. But anyway, that is going to do it for this episode. If you enjoyed the video, please give a quick like and subscribe. And I'll be back tomorrow. No, not tomorrow night. I'll be back on Monday night as we explore the swamp, Monday through Friday. And also I post daily on X, which is where you can peek at some of the content for the next episode. And don't forget, the video clips from tonight will begin dropping on the channel tomorrow morning. Thank you very much for watching. God bless the troops and God bless America.